You're listening to Living Out Loud with my mom, Michele Flamer. Yep, she's a flamer and proud of it. Get ready to learn about queers in your communities doing great things every week.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Living Out Loud. Today's going to be a little different because today I am my own guest. It's my first solo cast in a really long time since I told my vulnerable coming out story so many months ago. And since then, we've had some amazing guests, and I want to thank you guys so much for listening week after week, for your comments, suggestions of, and recommendations of people I should absolutely connect with and reach out to. I hope you'll keep listening, and I really appreciate you. So let's get into it. Tonight, I am thinking about, like rooted for growth. And it's got me really thinking about my divorce and getting through the divorce and looking at my life and how it looks today. So, welcome back. I'm really glad you're here. If you're new here, thank you so much for taking the time to listen. I'm especially glad you found your way to this one because I think it might land in a way you weren't expecting. It's been a while since I've done one of these solo podcasts. There's something both terrifying and freeing about just sitting down with a mic and talking. No guests to hide behind, no interview to structure things, at least structure things for me. Just me and the things I keep thinking about. And lately, I keep coming back to this idea, this question really, of what it actually looks like to work on yourself. Not the Instagram version, not the I go to therapy and drink green juice version, the real version, the unglamorous, the confusing, the sometimes lonely, and the ultimately completely worth it version. So that's what we're doing today. I decided to take a break over the last couple of weeks. I've been traveling for work. I've been pretty busy with the kid and just really wanting to fill my cup in a way that is quiet. And sometimes I like to take these little detoxes, and I thought I'd come back, and I felt like I had a few things to share. So why not do it here? Why not do it with you guys? We're old friends at this point. So there's 3 moments that I've been thinking about how a healing journey isn't one moment. It's not black and white. It's not a one-trick pony. It's not one decision. It's not one breakthrough. It's not one tearful realization in a therapist's office. It's actually a series of quiet, specific moments. And I want to talk about 3 of them. The first moment is the one everybody knows. It's when you finally say it out loud. I think I need to talk to someone. I think I need therapy. I think I'm ready to go a little bit deeper. There's so much that lives in that moment. Courage, shame, relief, hope, fear. It can take years to get there. And for a lot of us, it took something falling apart, our relationship, a career, our own sense of who we are, before we were willing to admit we needed help. But here's the moment nobody talks about enough. The second one, it's just a random Tuesday night. Your session is until Thursday. You're sitting at your kitchen table doing the homework your therapist prescribed or assigned, however you want to put it. And you're in it. You're writing things down that you've never said to another person, maybe things you've never even said to yourself. That moment, that ordinary, unremarkable Tuesday, that's where the work begins. That's the trenches. And then there's this third moment, and this one catches people off guard because it's not dramatic. It's a Wednesday, maybe 6 months later. You're in a conversation or stuck in traffic or watching something on TV, and something happens to you that you just that would have probably like leveled you before, would trigger you, whatever terminology you want to use here. And it doesn't. And you notice yourself staying regulated, staying present. And you think, am I different now? I think I am different now. And that moment is everything. I remember another day that it occurred to me. I was out. I think it was a Saturday or a Sunday. I didn't have the kid. And I was deciding on what to do for the day. And I found myself in the backyard. And this is when we were living in Queen Creek, and I had a pool in the backyard. And I really love this pool. And so did Cooper, my dog. And I'm sitting out in the backyard on the lounge chair, just taking in the sun. I love putting the waterfall on because I just love hearing the water. And it kind of drowns out, some of the house noises around me, the cul-de-sac or our neighborhood. But not only that, you're just sitting with yourself. I had a book next to me, probably had a speaker close by so I could play music, listen to a podcast even. And I just remember feeling so content. It must have been around 7 months. And I can't really say anything other than it was just a mundane moment. But you're all of a sudden slowly but surely feeling like yourself. My friend Chrissy, one of my best friends for like 30 years, we used to talk about being in our 20s, like, okay, now we're in our 50s, we're divorced. When was the last time that we felt sort of like self-empowered here, where we were living for the moment? Because I remember in my 20s so vividly of jumping in my Jeep, top down, not even thinking about what the day was gonna unfold to, not any structure. I just got out of the house and I thought, if I bump into anybody, I bump into anybody. And if anyone's around, we didn't have phones back then. I would just get in the car and see where the day took me. If I had a friend who was working at a bar or a coffee shop, or I might take the moment and say, I'm going to go visit them. I have a little plan of attack. But after that, it was like, whatever. And it was such a good feeling because I wasn't chasing after anything. I was present. I was like in my happy, joyful space of just living in the moment. It's not until later in life when you've really lived some life that you then realize you have to process some stuff. And the relationship choices that you make really can feel like do or die, right? It can feel like it's uncomfortable or you're wondering, what lesson am I learning? But we chalk it up before we even know anything about spirituality or anything we know about ourselves, is that we chalk it up thinking, this just must be karma. This is just must be, I've had a couple of great years. Now it's time for a couple of crappy years. But it's not always what it's cracked up to be, right? It's because of that messy middle, you want to stay in the muck. And I want to tell you something that I've thought about a lot, and it's a little uncomfortable to admit. When I was moving through my divorce, I was slow. It's interesting because my ex-wife was like out of the gate dating, and there's no judgment in that. That's just fact. She was using almost every available hour to be talking to somebody new, trying to explore something, maybe going out on a lunch date, seeing someone on a Friday night. I just wasn't in that frame of mind. I was slow. For the first time in my whole freaking life, I was slow. People around me could see it, and I think some of them might have been worried about me a little bit. I picked up a couple of really good new friends, and they just were fantastic through this whole time. One of my friends was going through a breakup at the time, so we had a lot of extra time to talk through things. And I'm very fortunate where I've had really good people show up in the time of my life where I really didn't know what I needed until I needed it. And I think that's a really important lesson for us to realize, that the universe is going to provide what you need, and it's not against you. All of these moments and these choices and what feels like, truly what feels like free will, is all of a bigger plan. But I don't want to digress too much. And I think with some people like that might have been worried about me, it's like I was stuck. Like I wasn't processing, and that I needed to be further along. It's interesting how people put their own projections onto you because they might move through something fast, or they think, most of the time they think I just deserve to be happy. But what if I'm happy? What if I'm happy in my own self-realization and contentment? Radical acceptance does not come easy. But when you have a friend like Chrissy who brings out the best in you, but also knows exactly what to say, even if it hurts, even if it's uncomfortable, she really wrapped my head around radical acceptance. And I digress again. But here's the truth, you guys. I wasn't slow because I was broken. I was slow because I was savoring the healing. I can tell you so vividly when I recognize something, when the shift happens, when a pivot needed to be. So I was slow because I was savoring all of that. And I know how that sounds. Who savors divorce? But the messy middle has a texture to it, a weight that is entirely its own. And I didn't want to rush through it and miss what it was supposed to be teaching me, what it was teaching me. I wanted to understand every layer of what had happened, what I had participated in, who I had been, and who I wanted to become. We live in a culture that wants you to be over it, to bounce back, to glow up. There's this pressure to perform recovery, to be visibly okay and quickly. But healing doesn't work like that. And if you try to rush it, you skip things. You bypass the places where the real understanding lives. So if you're in the muck now, if you feel like you're moving through something at a pace that other people don't understand, I want you to know you might not be behind. You might just be thorough. So I made like this pact to myself during this time, refusing to do it alone. At some point during all of this, I made a pact with myself. And I've never really said this out loud, but I made a vow that I was not going to do this alone. That, yes, I was utilizing a therapist. We were doing EMDR, somatic healing, and IFS, internal family systems. If you're not familiar with it, look up Dr. Schwartz. Fantastic. There Are No Bad Parts is a great book. I didn't want to do it alone. I wasn't going to white knuckle my way through healing in isolation and call it strength. That's not strength. That's just suffering quietly. Who the fuck wants that? At some point, it's like I made these two commitments. The first was to build real, deep friendships, the kind where you can say the true thing, not the fine thing, where someone can see you unraveling just a little and not flinch. I had to learn how to let people in, honestly. I'm still learning how to be the one who needed something instead of always being the one with the answers. That definitely was its own kind of work. The second commitment was to learn how to love myself, and not the blah, blah, blah kind of way. And I know how that sounds. It sounds like a bumper sticker. I get it. And I have a couple of thoughts on loving yourself. It may not be exactly what you're thinking, because there's a spa therapy kind of way of loving yourself, of that feels a little phony, in my opinion. It's not that self-love is phony baloney. It's that you need to meet yourself in a way to actually love yourself. And it can't be, I had a meditation today. I took care of myself. I gave myself a facial. Those are all self-care pieces, but it's not about the self-love piece. It's a little different. So what I mean is something really specific. I mean learning to be compassionate. A compassionate witness to my own experience. Not beating myself up for being where I was, where I started, for needing what I needed, for moving slowly. Treating myself with the same patience I would offer a friend. Because here's the thing about healing. It is lonely. Some days it is deeply achingly lonely. You can be surrounded by people who love you and still feel alone in it because no one else is inside your experience. No one else can do this for you. But that loneliness is not permanent. Trust me on this. I want you to know that it's a season. And if you can build even one or two relationships where you feel truly seen, and if you can start to develop a kind of relationship with yourself, it begins to lift. It doesn't vanish overnight, not by a fucking long shot. And I'll say, I've always been good by myself. I love going myself to the movies. I take myself out to hike and brunch. I'll take myself to my favorite coffee shops in any city. I'll find a bookstore that I'll walk around or an antique mart. I don't mind being by myself. So there's a difference between enjoying your aloneness and being lonely. And if you can just develop being kinder to yourself, it begins to lift. It doesn't vanish overnight, but one day you wake up and you realize you're not thinking about how to get through the day. You're just living it. And that's what I meant by that 20-year-old version of me. I was just living it. I had a job. I was finishing college. I'd gotten out of the military. All these things were happening for me, not to me. So it's pretty fascinating. But on the other side of this healing, and let me tell you, it's been about 4 years since the divorce. And I will tell you, about a year ago, I really, really started to feel myself again. And it was really, really, really special. And I so value it. The other side of working on yourself is like these rewards that you get beyond the fact that you can look back and say, wow, I've built these really beautiful, deep, profound, joyful friendships. And around 9 months ago, I got off any dating apps. I was only on a couple, but I got off of them. I made this real intentional shift to stop chasing and even stop looking. I just wanted to live and be in the moment. I was enjoying myself so much that any bandwidth, anything that felt like it was pulling energy from me, just wasn't happening for me anymore. It just didn't feel aligned to where I now was. And that's the beautiful thing about healing, is that you start to recognize what's good for you, what's for you truly. And you start to recognize where you feel it in your body. But I will tell you, the rewards of friendships like this is that my dear friend Samantha Fox, she has her own podcast, Unboxed, and is the lesbian curiosity coach on all social platforms. She's a badass, super hip, cool New York therapist. So New York Jew at its finest, and I love her for it. But one of the things that I really value and appreciate about how we show up for each other is how we validate and mirror back and remind one another where the fuck we came from. On New Year's Eve, she did a polo with me, and she said, Look at what this year brought for you. Look at all the things you said no to. Look at all the things you've said yes to. And look at where you are. I mean, she said it way more eloquently. I'm butchering it and paraphrasing the paraphrase, so I apologize. But there is something so sweet about that. And having dear friends, no judgments. All judgments left at the door. We just hold each other in highest love and that joyful, caring space. But when you get to the other side, it's not what the internet says it looks like. What it actually feels like in your body, in your ordinary days. Because I myself love reading all of the amazing, Instagram psychologists. There are so many beautiful quotes out there, from Jillian Turecki to Sabrina Zohar to Nicole LaPera, Jay Shetty. I mean, you name it. There are so many fabulous, intelligent, emotionally mature therapists that I really value and have really enjoyed, from their podcasts to just reading a book of theirs and learning along the way. So not only, do I enjoy my own therapist, do I enjoy dipping into my spirituality and my shaman Angela, but at the end of the day, it's like this big grin comes from knowing that I've done this for myself. Truly, for me. And it looks like a walk, just a walk with a podcast playing, the sun doing something nice, and I'm just savoring each step. Not because something incredible is happening, but because nothing needs to be incredible for me, for you to be glad you're alive in it. It's like you've made peace with the ordinary in a way you couldn't before. Because before, the ordinary felt something like something to escape. Now it feels like something to inhabit. And it's funny because I can really recall these moments, these precious moments that help to pivot and help to bring in what I've desired. I made a video in 2023 up on the top of Mulholland, and I was on a hike. I was staying with my mom, visiting family, took a break, took Cooper on a walk, and I made this one video, and it got a lot of likes, it got a lot of appreciation, and a lot of people resonated with it. And I just realized at this moment in 2023, now remember, today's 2026, so it's 3 years ago, really in that pivotal moment of a year, 2 years almost after the divorce. And I'm realizing in the moment that I'm going to be someone's person again. And that I really love being someone's person. But I didn't know what that was going to look like in 2023. I imagined it from reading it in books, from hearing about soulmates and learning about twin flames and all of these different ways that you can engage with people, that heart connection, soul family, karma wrapped up in a beautiful human who is here to mirror back joy and the best parts of me. And over the last 9 months, I have woken up as the best version of myself. And I know that sounds so hallmark and cliche, but it is true. When you feel it in your bones, it's so good. it looks like it's just like ridiculous and joyful in ways you didn't expect. I'm talking about things like making lip sync videos. I mean, who thought I would want to do that? I love music and I love breaking out in song. But it's like, and just laughing, really laughing at myself. Deleting the dating apps was a really important pivot for me in this journey. And it's not because I'm giving up at all. It's because I'm just so full in my own life that I was forgetting to check it. People fucking ghost me. I mean, look, they fucking missed out on like hanging out with me. It's not like we had to be each other's person right off the bat. We can make friendships. I could introduce you to cool people that might be your person. Who knows? But getting off the apps because I'm actually just enjoying being exactly where I am. And then this is the part that undoes me a little bit. An amazing human comes along and says they want to get to know you. And the most beautiful moment about that, and the hilarious moment about that is, one, I was really open to her, but I asked her, you want to get to know me on a personal level? And she was like, yeah, that's how it works. And I felt like I could really be available for that. I had space for it. I had bandwidth for her. And not performing my okayness, right? Like not managing my wounds while I smile across a table. I'm actually like there, like my whole being is regulated in the moment. And my curious, open self steps in front and center stage. That's what the work was for. See, we're all here on earth. We have a purpose. But the main purpose is to live and walk in love and to show up in love. And we can only, my therapist told me this a long time ago, and you might have heard it before, but we can only grow and heal so far. We need people in our lives to mirror back what we need to see and learn. Because being on the other side of healing doesn't mean you stop growing. It doesn't mean you've arrived somewhere final. It means your nervous system has enough room now to notice the sweetness, to witness the small moments, the good ones, without immediately bracing for them to end. That's what I want for you. That's what I want for each of you listening. It's not a perfect life, not a healed once and forever story. Just enough space inside yourself to feel the good things when they come. That's it. That's pretty much the whole thing right there. Is that you get yourself to a place of not people pleasing. You squash your codependency. Because I will tell you, when I look at my beloved, I have so much faith in how she will handle her business. And if she needs help, and if she needs guidance, or if she just needs an ear to listen, I'm there for that. And vice versa. The reciprocity and the willingness and the care to want to repair when we get triggered. Because we're human, we will get triggered. We have to know ourselves enough so that the other person doesn't have to manage and try to learn or have to be taught a new language in order to caretake us. No one wants that. I want to show up whole. I want my partner to show up whole. And there's nothing better than doing this work alongside somebody who wants to do the work with you. And being in a long distance relationship, I'm going to tell you, you need a person to show up. You need to feel safe in all the ways. And it translates in person to be the most joyful experience I've ever encountered so far. She is by far on my level. She is in the same space of life with me. And there's nothing sweeter than that. So thank you for spending time with me tonight. Truly, if any of this landed for you, if you're somewhere in the middle of it right now, or if you're on the other side and this helped you name something, I'd love to know. If you'll share this podcast, this episode, with someone you care about, someone who needs to hear this, someone who just might giggle their way through it because you know that they've been through it and they're on the other side of it. Send me a message, leave a review, share this episode. And if you're in the muck, stay in it a little longer. Sit in it, journal about it, meditate on it. Write down what you're learning along the way. You're not behind. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next week.
If you liked this episode, please hit the follow button and remember, sharing is caring. Until next week, stay proud, stay loud.